everyone, it's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl. I just wanted to say, first off, I know I look exactly the same from my last video. It's because I'm filming everything in one day, because I know I'm going to be very, very busy the next few days, even possibly a week, just because I have this convention I'm going to be showing my art at. It's the very first convention I've ever exhibited at, so I'm really excited. I'm also very nervous, but that's why all of these paintings are in the background, all these horror paintings that you guys have been commenting on. It's a horror/Halloween convention, so I've been painting horror villains. I'm not really into horror. It honestly freaks me out. I'm the biggest scaredy pants when it comes to scary movies. I usually have to leave the room because it makes me so uncomfortable, but it was really fun painting. So I'm really excited about showing at it, but of course it's kept me very, very busy. So I wanted to make sure that I put out enough content and more videos. And like I said, welcome to all of the new subscribers. Thank you so much for being supportive and, joining my channel and checking out some of my videos. I am very happy to have all of the new people on, as well as I'm very glad for everyone that's stuck with me and continue to be supportive of my videos and of my channel. I've said this a few times in a couple of my different videos, but when I get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick 3 people and I will paint you a picture. It'll probably be about this size. Let me grab one. It'll be about this size, so this is 8 by 10, and I will paint you your favorite Star Wars character and I will ship it to you wherever you are in the world. So when I get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to do that. So congratulations in the future if it's one of you guys, but who knows, the future is still up in the air. So when I get to 10,000 subscribers, that's going to be a thing. Also, to everyone that is new here, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I just do this for fun, and I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan. But I am also a professional artist. That is what I do for a living. I paint things and I draw people. That's me and that's who I am. And the reason why I got into art was, you guessed it, Star Wars. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about art and how it inspired me to, pursue, or how Star Wars and art, drove me to pursuing a career in it. And, when I was a little kid, yes, I loved Star Wars, and that was my entire life, and I wanted to be an astronaut so I could go into outer space, and I could go to a galaxy far, far away. Then I found out, to be an astronaut, you have to be good at math. Guess who's not good at math? That would be me. I hated math, and I never used it outside of school. I would just like to say that right here. Never once have I needed to find X. So all of that was a waste of time, and it doesn't help me with painting at all. The only thing that came close to being math related was having to deal with money and measurements, which, yeah, I use a ruler. Not that hard to do. And if I need to find anything out, I use Google. So learning that at a young age, oh shoot, I need to learn math, and I hate math, and I'm not very good at math. But what was something that I was good at? I was always good at telling stories and drawing. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do something with that. So I thought I was going to be an author, and maybe draw the pictures in my books. But guess who's dyslexic? Me. And I had a really hard time learning how to read, but I'm an audio learner, so if I hear something, I'll remember it. So when I was in school, my teachers were always in shock because I knew all the answers, but I couldn't take the test because I couldn't read. And one of the things that my teacher noticed, the teacher that picked up the fact that I was dyslexic, was she would, be like, it was one of those little things where, they show you a picture, and it's like, okay, tell a story based off of this picture. And I would tell her this, long, elaborate story, and then she's like, okay, write it down, and I would try and I would fail. And then I remember you know how when you had the VHSs and after the movie it would be like, oh, the making of the movie? Well, I remember on one of my Star Wars movies, it was that, and it was the making of Star Wars. And I picked this little thing up at an antique store with my mother. Let's see if you can see it. So this is the portfolio of Ralph McQuarrie. And when George Lucas was writing Star Wars, nothing like this had ever been made before. And he was like, you go and pitch this idea to like a business person, someone that's not creatively, they don't have that creative like ability to visualize in their mind. Everything is like business, completely left side of the brain, right? So, and I've had this happen before where I'm trying to pitch an idea to someone and they look at me and it's like, goes completely overhead because they don't understand. And George Lucas going and pitching the story like, hey, it's like this space opera, it's a hero's journey, and it's about this guy named Luke Skywalker. Well, it was Luke Starkiller. But anyway, just telling him the whole plot of Star Wars, and they're looking at him like, no idea what this guy's talking about, he's crazy. So then George found this guy who was a professional artist named Ralph McQuarrie, and he's like, hey, can you paint some paintings for me? So that way when I go and I pitch my idea, they can have pictures that'll coincide, like, hey, this is, Luke Starkiller, or Darth Vader, or Han Solo, or Chewbacca. And let me show you the first image that I saw. And when I saw this, it was something that I had never seen. Well, I'm pretty sure, maybe I had seen it. I think, well, I'd seen it when I was watching Star Wars, kind of thing. But it was the first painting that he did, and it was a painting of C-3PO and R2-D2. Now, if you guys are like big Star Wars fans like me, you've probably seen this image before. But I remember when this image came up on the TV, and I just looked at it, and I was like, if someone just started telling me the story of Star Wars, and, this bad guy goes onto the ship and the princess sends out these two robots to a desert island with these secret plans, and that's it. There you go. I'd seen Star Wars by this time, but just think, like, that didn't exist. This was the first image. Where is that camera? This was the image that they saw. And you look at it, and when you see Ralph McQuarrie talking about how, he got all the inspiration to do this, like, he said this mountain was just like a mountain with an ocean. And so he just changed the ocean to desert, and then he painted in the robots. And there was no design for them, so he just made it up. And that is what this image is. And so then he came up with all these other ones, and that's how, they came up with Star Wars. And, that's how George pitched the idea to, these corporate people. Like, look at that. There you go. There's Mos Eisley. There's Luke Skywalker. Desert planet with two suns. You can see it. It's completely different going from just, hey, here's my idea, and then showing your idea. So when I went to college, I was like, okay, I can't be an astronaut because I don't know how to do it, and then at the same time, I don't even meet the height requirements to be an astronaut, so there's no chance of that. But, maybe I can be able to create worlds like Ralph McQuarrie did, and one day I will be able to see it. And it doesn't matter if it's in a video game, on a TV screen, one day it's going to be there, and something that I saw in my mind is going to be there, and everyone is going to be able to see it. And so that's how I got into concept art, because Ralph McQuarrie was the man that really made concept art a huge part of the movie-making industry, because now not only do you have storyboards, but each movie has to have a concept artist behind it, not just to design, the world, but also the costumes, the characters, and there is so much learning just, based on how a person, like, stands. If you stand, like, back like this, or if you stand like this, like, who's this? This is Superman. Someone that, like, hunches over with their chin out, that's usually... What's that guy in Phineas and Ferb, the bad guy, the mad scientist guy, they kind of have a hunch, and they, like, stand over like that. And then you have people that, like, lead with their hips. That's usually, like, a rock star type of character. Or someone like Han Solo, they kind of stand back, and they kind of like that kind of character. So, it is a lot of storytelling, but it's visual storytelling. And it takes a lot just to create an image and no words, and just say, look at this picture, and tell me what you see. And your goal is to make everyone say the same thing, which is extremely difficult because every single person thinks differently. So when you create an image and it's like, oh, what do you see in this picture? You know? What do you see? You see two robots in a desert, and it looks like their ship crashed. That's what that whole scene was about, you know? The two robots are stranded on a desert planet. There you go. And that's how Star Wars, you know, yeah, you show that to business people, and they're like, oh my gosh, I see it. Yes, this looks cool. Let's do it. So that's what I've been doing, and that's why I went to college and I learned how to be a concept artist. And I found as I've been developing my art more and more, I've really gotten deep into the character aspect of it. I really enjoy designing different types of people and just really immersing myself in studying humans and what makes them tick. So when I watch Star Wars, like the new ones, I look at them and I'm just like, they really don't have personalities. They don't have any depth to them. And the characters that do have depth, they're just destroying. But it's the depth in those characters that make them so loved. Like, you watch Ethan's videos or World Class Bullshitters or you've seen Gaming's videos, and if you've seen any of their videos where, you know, they go to Toys R Us and there's like the stack of Rose Ticos, it's because she's not a character with any depth to her. She's just a fangirl that's following Finn around the entire time. Nobody cares about that. And back in the day, you know, it was almost impossible. Like, I remember when I was a kid going to the store, it was so hard to find Princess Leia action figures, or even, well, you know, they usually do mass-produce more of the main characters, but just when Star Wars was released and they weren't expecting it to be a big hit, what did the kids do? They wanted the toys, and so they got sold a box, you know, just the box, and you had to wait until May to get your action figures. Like, though, that's not happening with Disney. You know, the Lucasfilms Disney, they can't sell their toys because their characters have no depth. We do not, like, just this picture, it's not even what C-3PO and R2-D2 look like, but we know who these characters are. This picture has more emotion and more depth in it than The Force Awakens, or The Last Jedi, or Rogue One. Just in this picture. And this is an oil painting that was done, over 40 years ago? And they can't even come close to reaching that emotional connection that this image has in any of their movies. That's just sad. And it's really showing how much not only, you know, the art of storytelling is being lost, the fact that the people that are in charge don't know anything about character development, and the fact that, you know, I have the art books for the new movies, but, you know, it's really sad when it's being dictated by so many people that you can tell what constraints the artists are in, whereas Ralph McQuarrie, George was just like, hey, you need to make something that no one has ever seen before, that you've never seen before, that I've never even seen before, and make it look real, and make it feel like the characters I'm trying to portray. And that is why Star Wars is able to resonate with so many people, and it has, you know, really dictated my life, because I saw that image. I've seen all of Ralph McQuarrie's images, you know, from a young age. Like, just even this, look at the cantina scene on Tatooine. The first time you see the Millennium Falcon, like, look at that. It's powerful stuff, and none of the new stuff is anywhere close to being like that. And it's not gaining the traction that they wanted it to, because it doesn't have heart behind it. And it doesn't have someone like George Lucas behind it. George Lucas, he wanted to make it, and it was his obsession. He studied for years before he even came up with the final draft, and he went through so many different drafts of what Star Wars was going to be before he found his masterpiece, and he put everything into it. And if he failed, he would have never been able to make another movie, but he didn't. He stuck through it, and he made his dreams come true. And that's something I believe that Disney is sorely lacking. Well, Disney, Lucasfilms, I know you guys always correct me on that one. And so it's just really sad when someone like me who is trying to, get their career going and trying to be a concept artist in this day and age where there's no heart behind most things anymore. So that's why I've been drawn to, doing my own projects and pushing my own artistic career and my own abilities. And really mainly trying to understand the power that Ralph McQuarrie had when he was creating his images. And not just him, but people like Drew Sturzen too. He did all of the posters for basically every cool poster that you've ever seen. He did it. He did the Star Wars 30th anniversary where it was the 3 posters. He did The Thing. He did the Goonies, where they're hanging. He did Hook. Basically all those cool posters that came out, that was him. He also did the prequels posters. So, people like that where you look at it and it's you look at the image and you'll never forget it. That is something that I have been striving to do, and it's something that I'm continuously trying to perfect and prove not only to myself that I can do it, but a lot of it is proving it to my parents that they didn't waste all this money on art college for me, and I'm going to be paying student loans off until the day I die. But, it's working and I'm getting the hang of it. But if it wasn't for Star Wars, and if it wasn't for someone like Ralph McQuarrie, I would have never known that something like this was possible, and that you could tell, the most compelling story in the entire galaxy from an image. And Ralph did that for the majority of his life. And that's an absolutely amazing thing, and it's what pushes me to continue painting. And, when it's frustrating and I'm just I don't ever want to look at this painting again, but then I look at Ralph's stuff and I'm just he literally lived in a time where this thing, Star Wars, didn't exist, and if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't exist. So that is why I do what I do. And I love it so much because it is a part of who I am just as much as Star Wars is a part of who I am. And they both are one and the same, where if it wasn't for art, there wouldn't be Star Wars. And if it wasn't for Star Wars and George Lucas's idea and creation, there wouldn't be images like this. And there wouldn't be people and stories Ralph McQuarrie did exist, but there wouldn't be this concept art alive. And that's what I do, and I love it. And it is an absolutely amazing thing to wake up in the morning and go to work and love what you do. So when I see what's going on with Star Wars and knowing that that kind of creativity no longer exists for it, it breaks my heart, and it makes me even more angry because that was what was fun about Star Wars, was, when they have the stop motion. The Battle of Hoth is probably one of the best and most talked about fight sequences in a sci-fi film ever. And a majority of people that I've talked to, they'll say, my favorite movie is The Empire Strikes Back because of the character development, because of the introduction of Yoda, because of Luke's training, because you get to see that little connection with his sister, but mainly because of that conversation and that battle between Luke and Vader at the end. And then, I'm not really big into, the whole fight sequences, but that Battle of Hoth was awesome. And to know that that was done in stop motion, and if you've ever tried stop motion, you will know it is the most tedious and time-consuming activity you were ever going to have to endure. And they did a spectacular job. When I look at that, that looks like a real battle. That looks a billion times better than all this CG and the fact that they can't remember that, there's no gravity in space. But the people that made these movies back in the late 70s and early 80s, guess what? They actually studied how snow explodes. But you guys can't figure out a very common thing that, there's no gravity in outer space. I don't get it. I really don't. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this little video and me talking about art. And I know a few of you have asked for me to talk about it a little bit more and to, go more in depth or maybe do a tutorial or whatnot. So let me know what you guys think of this video, and I will see you guys next time. So may the force be with you.